Is everyone able to hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. I'll give everyone a little bit more time before we start. Probably an additional 6 minutes.
Hey Kevin, Adnan here. Do you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Nice. So Kevin, let me know when you're ready. I'm ready here.
Okay, I want to give everyone 4 more minutes so that we can get as many participants as we can.
Perfect.
All right, I guess we gave enough time. Welcome everybody. Welcome to our first event for the semester. Before we get started, I just wanted to remind everybody that we are doing a $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. So definitely encourage all your friends, everybody to come join this event and for the next session as well. We will be announcing winners at the end of the next session. So please join for that. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Adnan to talk about himself and to begin our session.
Hey, thanks, man. Thanks, Kevin, and giving the opportunity to speak to the right audience. And yeah, and I'm excited about this topic, and I hope the people are here listening to me excited as well. So, can you just make me presenter to do the slide share? And
Absolutely.
all right, good. Let's do my screen. Should be able to see it. Uh,
Yep, I can see it.
right. And a couple of things. What I would want to do here, since like 45 minutes or 50 minutes, and what I want to do is that what I try to do with this kind of session to let audience make the most out of it. So what I mean is that put your questions in the chat. Maybe every 10-15 minutes, I'll go take a look, or you can you know, ask, present those questions to me or whatever the way it's going to work. So when I have engagement two-way, so I can, as we go on, can answer those and also make sure it's what's in it for you, not for me. That's my idea, and I'll try to justify with that. That's being said, one question to you, Kevin. I imagine all these people dialing in are from computer and software engineering discipline, correct?
So everybody that we advertise to is from electrical engineering, computer science, and uh, information systems.
Okay, that will work perfect. So, all right. Uh, so this is, everyone knows like cloud, but I would want to put up as a problem statement, right? What is cloud computing? Because it's something literally we have for the last 20 years, but still we see a lot of things going around cloud computing, whether it's a job or the companies moving to cloud, data centers, and all that. So what I'm going to try with that to help you guys understand why, why in the last few years is picking up, what's the market, with the job market, what skill sets, tools, you need to be knowing it. So that's the idea about to keep it career related and also covering some of the technical. So as we go on, you know what I'm saying. So um, let me just move my. All right. So I would not spend much time about myself, and during this session, I would appreciate just watch and listen, and you can always Google me or LinkedIn me later. And then we'll definitely be heavily focusing on cloud computing, why, and where the market is, and where the companies are investing it and why. And that's aligned with you're seeking a career as a whole in tech industry and IT, but why cloud matters the most. And I've been seeing it firsthand for the last 8-9 years when I started working and kind of made my very smooth transition. So you're gonna hear right from the industry that and what's going on in the near future. So a little bit about myself. As I said, you can do Google it or later LinkedIn. But I've been part of IEEE, British Computer Society, and I've been speaking. But I do speak a lot of technical Microsoft conference here in the US and over the internet for some international conference I had last European conference, which was talking about some cybersecurity. So this is the problem statement, right? Challenge, because when you're planning for a career, uh, there are so many things going on, like AI, machine learning, cybersecurity. And if you go to the programming side of it, there's the DevOps, Python language, so the kind of, I can imagine myself, I was at university and there was like .com boom and all that. So I had the same challenge. Hey, how do I make sure that I should be investing my time, my energy, and everything in the right direction? Because that's really the challenge is we have so much to look into, and it's really hard to absorb. And really, there is no right or clear direction. Actually, that was the case with me. I'm not sure about you, but again, there's a lot of stuff, right? So one could say, okay, go do this and that. There are so many areas. So that's I think there are some indicators which can help you understand and align your career, and that's where you need to be knowing the market. You, other than technical stuff, look at some news and all that. You get to know, okay, where Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Adobe, and all these people are making investment in, or what's hot in the market. What's the trend. Everyone knows, okay, AI and machine learning, but again, there's a lot of stuff. AI and machine learning is itself is a huge area. IoT is a huge area. And then why they're picking up now? Why not before? Right? So those are the things. And then you kind of say, okay, I may be interested or something. Then what skill sets do I need? Let's say if I talk about AI, okay, AI, okay, you need, let's say, maybe some scripting language or Python, or in AI also how skills are required in proactively for cybersecurity. There are other companies making investments, so that's really the area where you don't really need any programming skills. You know what I mean? So, what are the platform? What are the vendors, right? So those are the things when you try to get yourself in the market, and then you need to be knowing, okay, what are the right skill set I should be learning it, and that's really make the most significant difference, because that's how really can make a difference in your career. When you have the right skill set, right knowledge, when you spend or invest your time, that will literally give you the results you are trying to achieve. So that's really important, and that's why you need a plan, right? So you don't want to plan something unsure about it, right? So you need to pick and see, okay, hey, this is where my interest is. And to give my example, I learned C++, I learned some Pascal and assembly language and all that, but I was never interested in that, right? But it's still, and that when I started playing around some operating system, computer architecture myself, and this is where my interest started picking up. And then I learned more into network and security. And this is where I work. Okay, I like to spend more time on these things. And that's I kind of, okay, I should be looking into those. And by that time, okay, Microsoft and Cisco was too big. And then I started leaning toward more in Microsoft. Even I did have CCNA, but it was good. But again, you kind of, you have to find, okay, this is my passion, this is, I spend hours and hours, and I don't really feel like, and every day I'm so excited with same energy and all that. So that's why you need to come up with something and plan your own plan, and every plan is different. And then you have to make yourself ready for the market, because when you're going to the market, you are going to be as a product. So when an employer or a company is going to hire you, they're looking for some benefits, same as you gonna go buy, let's say, a cell phone, maybe an iPhone or Apple or whatever. So you do your homework based on the features and capability, and most of it, what value you're gonna get out of it. Hey, what are my needs? Okay, this phone is going to meet all the needs, and on top of that, the other wants. Okay, I get this. Okay, this one can do this, and blah blah blah, all that stuff. So when you're going to the market, put yourself in the same situation. The companies are hiring for you regardless. We're not talking about experience now, but that's the, they want to hire you to make sure you will be able to going to deliver that task or job, because you represented some skills in your resume. That's why you're on the interview. So that's the whole criteria. So uh, and that's why you need to be concerned about your planning, and start looking onto those areas, which I will explain you more. And the good thing is that in today, because of cloud, it's really going to help you, which it never helped me and people like me in the industry many years ago. But you're in the cloud, and I'll tell you what those are. Learning tools, let's say, which can help you moving forward to build a better career. And this is funny, right? When you apply for a job, you are in the market, and people expect you to write 3-5 years experience. Hell, no, you can't have that. So even not for the starters, even let's say give you an example, 4 or 5 years ago. So cloud started basically 2011ish. We're not talking about Amazon, like from Microsoft, for example, and somebody. So it's 8-9 years. So I'm talking about 2015 or something. And somebody, a recruiter, reaching out to, hey, we need an Azure AD experience of 10 years. I said, it didn't even exist. How come you come up with a job profile? So this happened. This is reality. So there are some areas to tackle with those, but that goes to how you write a resume or expertise and all, or tips and all that. But this is really this happens. This is a reality. So I just wanted to bring it up. So here's the approach, right? Think of your career on the rightmost side is you have to hit it right on the target. So if you want to hit it right on the target, of course, then you need to do a lot of planning. If you don't, then your career could end up like a stock exchange going up and down, right? And I've seen so many people, they enroll for a couple of years, they're not sure, hey, I like it, don't like it. So honest advice is that make sure you do your homework, because in this fast moving world with the technology and everything, you do not have enough time. And if you do it right, you can have a very good exponential successful career or successful growth in your career compared to other people. So that's really important. So don't do hit and miss or hit and trial. Make sure, and I'll talk about a little more on that. Anyone has any question? Let me know. I'll make a pause here.
In the chat, we have one question from Harry. So in cloud computing, is Linux the big OS for server maintenance/control?
Yes and no. Okay. And why is that? Because if you look at all these three cloud major provider, they never tell you what underlying hypervisor they run, but it's the infrastructure as a service like Google, AWS, Microsoft. Of course, Microsoft run their own hypervisor, which is Hyper-V. There is a VMware, is very known. And virtualization, Linux, I'm not sure, but there are footprints. So that basically goes to infrastructure as a service. So that you can look it up, but it's you just can't say that, because then there's a different criteria in PaaS and SaaS. So it all depends. I'll cover those different cloud delivery model and service model to kind of give you better understanding, but some mix and match. If a startup is making a development for Linux, of course, then you say, okay, I want to have an infrastructure as a service configured and I want to deploy my Linux server. But if a company is a bank, financial company is in New York City, Wall Street, you're using Microsoft Windows, Active Directory, Exchange, and Office, right? So there you end up doing a lot of domain controllers, but all Windows. But they would also have Linux. So depending what we're talking about, I would say just keep it balanced. But if you are more interested in Linux, that's fine. But if you don't like it, if you okay, there's a more demand for Linux, we can talk about it. I can prove you 100 times. And then you'll say, oh yeah, Linux may not be, if you're not interested, don't force yourself. So I hope that answers your question. If not, then please do write your question, and I'll be more than happy to make more questions. So here's the market research. I wanted to bring it up. It's been maybe a year or 2 years old, but it's still very relevant. And if you can Google more, you'll find other research. That's really give you a good idea where the market is going and where the companies are investing in. And guess what? During this pandemic, it has gone up. I don't have the latest updates as of today, but for the last 6 months, people are working from home. So if you go after this, or whenever you have time, there are 600 plus percentage increase in the threat or attacks on cyber attacks. People are working from home. They have unmanaged devices. So there's an increase for platform like this, the one we are using, or the Zoom or Microsoft Team, remote workplace. So companies who would have thought of doing their digital workplace in the next 5, 10 years, they are now forced to adopt this work style, work from home now. So so many companies, if you look at JP Morgan and other, they say, their CXOs, we made the investment, we are happy, their infrastructure sustained and they're working. But yeah, so that's why they invested on that. But even in the backend services, there are a lot of things goes in the backend. So platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, as you can see on the screen. So infrastructure as a service, I'll give you more detail, but think of it as a computer. So you set up a virtual machine. You never. So one thing to keep in mind in cloud, you never ever going to have access anything on a physical level. So if you want to spin up some machines, Windows or Linux, whatever, you set up your own machine. That means you own it. You own the VM. You own the logical piece, not the hardware, but you own it just like you own at your home or in your workplace. And that's the infrastructure service in a very simple words. When we go to platform as a service, let's say if you need to have 4 databases put together for high availability, instead of doing it your own, service provider will give you that logical namespace that will become your platform as a service. And SaaS, software as a service, which is not here, is like Google Apps or Microsoft or Instagram or Facebook, where you really literally have no idea what goes in the back end. You just use as a service. So that's software as a service in IT. It could be Uber, you car as a service, or Airbnb as a service. You just pay for the service you need, and that's it. So that's kind of market is there. They're investing more and more investment. There ton and tons and tons of jobs there. And of course, also increase more jobs in cybersecurity. If you look at, I saw a billboard here in Jersey other day. They're claiming like 500,000 jobs in the next couple of years. So that's, uh, uh, you know, uh, I mean, I feel it. Yeah, there are definitely this many jobs. So when it comes to cloud, it's there's kind of a thing, you have, how you going to shoot that, like what skill set, you have to be, so you kind of in a situation where you have to make sure on these icons, their mobile devices, game, end user, cloud, tools and DevOps and all that. So just so that's exactly it is. It's a ton of things, and if you pick an area, you can literally develop a very good career. So, and this is also important, because if the graph were going down, then we'd say, okay, why Adnan, you're talking about, job growth and all that, but the graph is going up, and not up and down. It's like a very, uh, if you look at it, the trajectory, right? So there's a constant growth. Companies are moving in their infrastructure to the cloud, so that's why there's a need for the people uh, uh, in that area, and why there's a need for more people, because also the company who would have never thought of going to cloud, that they're even new into the business, right? Let's say 100 user company or maybe a startup. So today they don't have to invest on data center. We'll talk more about it. Uh, but they can literally set up their company up and running within a week, within a day, depending on the size of the company. So that's the beauty of cloud. You don't have to follow the traditional process. I can give you a ton of examples. So that's why there is such a big need. And when I say cloud, so think of cloud as just as IT. Don't think of cloud as just very like specific application. It's as big as medical science field. Like we have nephrologists, cardiologists, all these field of medicines. It's the same thing applies, I would say, in IT or in cloud, because platform as a service, software as a service, infrastructure as a service, and each and every service model, you have different, sort of application within security also, like AI, machine learning, and all that. That also applies there. I'm sure if you go back or do some research, you would not, but like talk about artificial intelligence. This concept is more than 20 years old. Why now it's picking up? Because you have faster process on your cell phone. My cell phone is faster than my laptop I used to have 15, 20 years ago, right? So that's processing power is this much fast. We have solid state drive. We have fast drive. Before we used to HDD normal drive, right? Even our phone, the laptops. So we getting so much power on compute, on storage, right? That's why all these things are connected, and that's why it's all going towards AI, machine learning, because they need a lot of processing, and that can only be possible in the cloud. Otherwise, you need maybe 10,000 servers to meet that compute. And guess what? If you spend this many millions of dollars and that project is not successful, or project is decommissioned after 6 months, your money is gone, it's wasted. In cloud, you charge based on the utilization, based on the consumption. So when you are a CEO, CIO, CXO, you're talking that language. Hey, there is a return of investment. I need this project. I allocate this much budget for this thing. Okay, so that's on the business side of it, and that's why it's going to keep growing. So what are your options, right? So now we'll try to address some of them and help you to, if you have any confusion, just to try to help you. Okay, what are those career directions? What are these career roles, and what's in it for you? And how can you be getting started? And now I'll make a pause. Anyone, any question? I'll give a pause for 30 seconds. Okay, let me ask you a question. Have you heard of any of these terms? Just type yes and no.
I have.
Yep. Go ahead.
I've heard of DevOps at the very least, and machine and learning and AI.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. We'll talk more. Anyone heard of anything? Anything sounds you familiar?
So from the chat, we have another question from Harry. He's wondering more about cloud engineering.
Sure. Right. Cool. So DevOps, cloud engineering. Okay. So let's start with these two instead of me starting from digital transformation to cloud security and AI. Okay. So give me a second. Let me, because this question coming to my, hold on. Okay. So let me, okay, then I should also be, okay. So DevOps, cloud engineering, and AI. Okay, so DevOps, let's start with the DevOps. So DevOps is, if you look at it, sound developer, right, and operations. This role did not exist, if I'm not wrong, I can say 5 years ago. So where it's coming from and why? And why will make you give you more details, because since when we talk about cloud, we talk about automation. Okay, so why automation? Let's understand this, right? Let's say if I were going to help a business or any hospital and and transition them from their data center to the cloud, and if they happen to have 100 Windows Server, 50 Linux machine, 25 Oracle databases, and all that. So these are basically servers. They run on a hardware, and they are running Windows and Linux and different operating systems. So if I were to do migration of this operating system, just we're talking about, we're not talking about application running on top of that, right? So 250 or 300 servers, and that data center that hospital is running, they have built it up over the years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. Now you want to save them on the money, you want to save them costs on data center. And not only that, because you're saying, okay, when you go to cloud, it's even more secure. Disk encryption, encryption the transit, and all those latest and greatest are by design available in the cloud, more controls, so you understand, okay, there's a solid business case, and they agree to move on cloud. Now, you don't need another 10 years, right? And you want to get done this with project maybe a 6 month, a year. So if manually doing that is, no, that's not going to work. So what you do is that you create templates for the base operating system. So how you get to the point where you start doing those templates, you do the assessment of that environment. And this after assessment and application compatibility and portability and all that, you say, hey, you know what? We need for this application to run in Azure or AWS, we need, for example, with baseline 100 system with this base level, Linux with this and that. So you create those templates, and with the template, you start building those servers in the cloud, and those 100, 200, or 300 server can be done in no time. I would say maybe 3 days, 7 days, depending. So it's and there is all automated. So for that kind of a work, you can use PowerShell, you can some scripting, or there are some third-party products which are used today, and you need to be an expert in that or hands-on experience. And this is where that roles comes in DevOps. This is just the one example. There are many examples around DevOps career role, and usually look for some job hunting site. You'll find those skill set requires. So basically, concept is same, but the hands-on tools and skill set for AWS may be a little different than Google or than Microsoft Azure. There are some ARM template resource manager versus an AWS. That's something different name. So that's where it's coming from. So you have the knowledge for developer, which is in some scripting language. On operating system or operation system, you have system knowledge, Linux, Windows, and all that. So that's a combined role. So that's why you don't really have to be but it doesn't mean your developer jobs are gone away. No, that's not the case, but it's a new role from this new market. That's the idea you have. Now, talk about cloud engineer role, right? So in a cloud engineer can be doing many different roles or different hats, but a cloud engineer role, so since you, let's say developer or DevOps, now you move to the cloud, and now in that role, for example, you may be managing that environment in cloud the way you've been managing on premises. Now the customer or your company you work for, now they have moved to the cloud. So there are, I would say, 2 or 3 different level of role: level, basic, middle, expert, and then you go all the way to architect level. And there are architect level certification available. And this is very good, important role, because you move on, you get more responsibility. It's very challenging and very, very cool to work with, because this role, you could be working in different areas, which I've told you before: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service, which I will explain to you more if you need be. But again, that's there, right? So think of this a role. You say, okay, somebody asked a question about Linux, right? So what if you were given a task to manage those Linux machine in cloud, right? One of the tasks is, for example, security point of view. Let's say you want to allow on those Linux boxes access from your hospital or your NGIT campus. You should not be allowing any access from your home or anywhere in the world, because this is your NGIT, for example, infrastructure in cloud, and you should be going to your data center facility as a work, or you may be doing a VPN connection, and from there you need be only allowing it. So if you were to set up those policies and all those stuff in the cloud, in AWS, on Google and Microsoft, so that's just one example you end up doing as a cloud engineer, right? If you need to develop some security policies, firewalls, that's another area you can think of. As I told you, automation, you need to deploy some machines, you can do that. As a cloud engineer, you could also be give an example for multinational Fortune 50 companies, which I also work with, right? So there are dedicated role for example, identity and access management engineer. Basically, you're managing the identities. You're trying to make sure identities are protected against any theft. So you put some controls around that, right? So there are so many areas. So again, uh, it's very tough and challenging to say, hey, just go do that, because Google is totally different, AWS and Microsoft. But again, there are some directions you can take and build your role, and you can see yourself anywhere in this role spending 3, 5, 7, up to 8 years. This is, and same applies to the DevOps. So DevOps kind of more scripting, automation. Cloud engineer goes more of a technical in terms of systems administration in the cloud, but not the typical way. Your automation is built on top of that, but there are some tools and technology and control available which even do not exist in on-premise environment, like key management for encryption and all that is very advanced work that's in the cloud by design is available. So if you have those skills, so just giving you a tip of the iceberg. I hope that answered the question. Now I'll move on to the third question, techniques in AI. So I gave you an example, techniques, not, to be honest, I don't have so many, but from cybersecurity point of view, I can share, and also told you in the beginning of this conversation around Python. I believe Python is there for 15, 20 years, but now all of a sudden, why there's hype? Because of cloud, because the code you write, which takes 200 lines, or in Python, let's say it may take 20 lines, whichever. So you can build existing machine learning model. You can teach them, and there's some Jupyter notebooks you can create. There are Kutso language I use myself for some threat hunting, for example, if I have to. So basically, I don't have to write tons of line. I just learn the script there and modify it because of the nature of the underlying technology. I know identity and all these different products. So that's really, I can in few minutes figure it out and have that code in front of me, and I can tweak it. So let me talk more about it. Not in cybersecurity, even AI, we can talk about even in wearable devices. And then, while I'm speaking, there's some, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I have an AI built in for COVID patients, without having their personal identification, I can say, okay, build me a model to predict based on this data what the COVID situation will look like in next 2 weeks or 4 weeks. I'm just throwing this. So those are the things you can start and be creative, but you need to be knowing what platform you're going to use, which is Azure, AWS, and Google again, right? And what front-end programming language or scripting language, you should be knowing it. And then you can build your model. So you can have maybe 5G example when we talk about Tesla cars and all these smart cars. When 5G chips these cars will have, they will send the signal in the cloud. Then you can literally predict, like in Google Maps, you can predict how much time it will take you from going from destination A to B, right? So that's Google is using AI for so many years, right? Now it will come with the cloud, which will have more processing, fast compute, and everything. And now it will become more a consumer again on our devices. So I think that let me know if it is helpful to make you understand, or if it's I was able to answer you. I'll make a pause here, and then I'll move to cloud security. All right, so I'm sure you all must have heard about cybersecurity. Very few might have heard about information security, and none of you heard about cloud security. Correct me if I'm wrong, yes or no? Cybersecurity, I'm sure all must be saying yes. Anyone else other than Rahul? Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, the concept is not very different, right? But believe me or not, 3 years later, you will see specific job calling out just for cloud security. Why? I do not have a diagram here for a firewall network or something, but even at your home, you have Verizon or whichever internet service you use, your router comes with some by default firewall. I'm giving a layman example. So if you're in a data center, you have this kind. So that's a traditional cybersecurity. Somebody will hack into your network and all that. So as soon as you move to cloud, like Google Apps or Microsoft, your authentication Your identity is in the cloud. So you're not touching your on-premise infrastructure. There are different models. I'm not going to go into that, but I'm giving you one side of it. Think of this just and forget other concept for now. Just think of it just pure 100% cloud company. You're a startup. You're starting a startup. You have no office location. You have no data center. You say, hey, we're a startup. We have 10 people working, and this is there you go. You set up your tenant in Office 365 or Azure or whatever or AWS. You have your identities, blah blah blah, and that's it. So your identity is in the cloud. So if your account gets phished with email phishing attack, your credentials are leaked. So this is where cloud security starts. And phishing attack, if you said, as I told you in the beginning, 660% or 700% increase in those attacks in the last 4 or 5 months. And there are different motives for those attacker and the characters or actors basically. And that's where cloud security is growing. So you need a cloud security for SaaS application, which is like Google Apps and Microsoft Apps or Salesforce, you name it. There's also cloud security involved in platform as a service and also in infrastructure as a service. This itself is a very deep topic with a lot of details, but yeah, watch it and all these cloud provider when you develop your career, whether DevOps in machine learning or engineering as a cloud, you can always transition your role to cloud security because it will align because you know those products. So if you're building an AI model, there are some gaps, there are weaknesses, and you need to put those security controls. Why not? Because how you're storing the data. If you're collecting some personal information about my health, you cannot just leave the data unencrypted in the cloud, right? So you need to have some security controls. Same thing, if you're putting some Linux machine, you make sure the disks are encrypted, those machines are secured, right? So you need to apply those concepts. So I can kind of give you like, understanding of the cloud computing, concept I covered. Let's look into the service model and delivery model, okay? So this is the example definition. You can find it on Wikipedia or whatever. NIST is a federal government. I don't know the full form, but it's the NIST. And then most of the by book definition is followed in the industry. Basically, the word or thing what you need to, I mean, my definition is compute as a service because everything platform as a service, software as a service, and everything is built on the compute. Okay, so basically, traditionally, you need to set up your hardware, your server, your data center. In cloud model is same as like Uber. Okay, you pay as you go, and that's it. You don't really have to care about any network resources and everything. You just go. That's the beauty of the cloud, and that's what this example or definition is saying. It's a shared pool of configuration. So as I said, a customer, whoever it is, you will never have any access to physical infrastructure. It's all virtual. And when it comes to virtual, then you can set up tons of network servers and everything. What's underlying is a shared pool of resources. Everyone is sharing. It's tenant-based thing. Everyone is a tenant there, right? So that's the concept. And if you look at ISO paradigm for enabling network access to scalable elastic pool of service, shareable physical, basically it's elastic. You can scale up, scale down, scale out, scale in, and that's the beauty of cloud. So this is the example. So resource pooling, as I told you before, right? Underlying technology on broad network, you have rapid elasticity. And the one thing to know in cloud and major services, you're being charged for the consumption, right? So how much disk, CPU you're going to use, that's what you're going to be charged for. Those are the services are measured, and that's what you're charged for. And on-demand self-services, if you are on top of technology, you might have heard about Docker, you might have heard about Kubernetes, containerization. Those concept applies to on-demand self-services. And this is even applied today, you're using it in Facebook and Instagram and all that without even knowing you. Because when the load of the user goes up, those backend services, they scale out or so they expand it basically, the resources underlying, right? Without a user knowing. So because if there is a concert from any celebrity or whatever, and there are a million hits all of a sudden. Service will be disruptive. This is not possible in a traditional model. When you're in the cloud, it automatically scales out. When the peak time is gone, it scales down. Same thing on the Thanksgiving weekend or week. You go to shop on Amazon or Best Buy, right? If the service is going down, or even happened to health website a couple of years ago when they launched medical plan, the service was website was out for hours, or even uh, some unemployment funds, people were filing it a month ago or two. The service was out of service because they did not design it right, right? So those are the things when you go to the cloud is achievable with the right architect and engineering. And today is possible if it means they didn't do it right, in my opinion. So IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. While I'm speaking, guys, if you have any question, just type it. As I said, um, I'm more than happy to take more and more questions. So IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS: infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. There are three different service models. So traditionally, whatever you're using, your Google Apps is software as a service. This Cisco WebEx we are using it is a software as a service. I didn't. So many years ago, you have to have your room with video conferencing and all that. That doesn't exist anymore. It's old school now, right? Everything just on the cell phone or even your devices. You have everything. So that's software as a service. Your email is there. Your Dropbox is there. OneDrive and all that. This is all software as a service. When it comes to job, when it comes to enterprise, when it comes to companies, you have to put controls and policies and everything. And this is where the job comes in. For the SaaS, you can say, hey, we're looking for a junior level job, for example, Office 365 administrator, Google Apps administrator. So you will not see anybody's looking for Windows Active Directory administrator anymore. You will not feel yes, I will look in. Sorry, the two questions. So let me take those questions. I'm not sure if this will be addressed at a later point. If so, just ignore. But how should one start their career in? Okay, right. Yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for. Are those the only service model using? And yes, these are the only service model, right? IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And then how are you gonna start your career? I will definitely switch my gears to more on a career side, um, and the other deployment model, right? So let me scroll and switch here if I may. Okay, let's talk about some career because we're really having 8 minutes or 10 or less. So you do something, and that's why I'm bringing up these numbers, because it's so important, because you need to be knowing what the market is, what it looks like. These are the just median. People even make a ton of money, or people don't really even meet that money. So it all depends. So it's just giving you the high level ballpark. This is just from a security, but again, you can replace everything security here as a cloud engineer, or security you can as a cloud architect. Okay, how can you even start, right? So I did have a career path specific to maybe Azure. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do. Let me share here something for a career path. Okay, and what I'm going to do is that show you AWS career path and Azure, for example, and also CompTIA, because depending, right? So let's start with CompTIA, because CompTIA is the base, irrelevant of any vendor. So what I would recommend people to go with, something that they have here is Cloud Plus and Cloud Essential, depending on your knowledge, right? If you look at those, they are not vendor specific. So they will give you the baseline. Okay, about these things. They cover bits and pieces and everything. So you kind of have some starting point, and they give you, okay, what kind of role you end up doing that. Now take a look here, and for example, if I go back, see for the, where did it go? Certification, yep. Cloud Essentials, I believe this is the one. And let's see what's the difference. And we can go on to Microsoft certification and also AWS and see. So here, if you see, they're covering cloud concept. So again, depending. So here, if you're starting new, I would say go back and then look for previous one, not the Cloud Essential, the Cloud Plus, I believe that was the other one, Cloud Plus, I guess, right? So Cloud Plus is under infrastructure. So you have Cloud Plus, Linux, and so it's not that you need to know first Linux, and that's not what I say. Okay, if you have this, you can start with this. You can start either with this and all that. So it all depends. And also when you get a job, and then you will learn a lot, but you need to have some baseline. So for example, with this, I would say definitely go with Network Plus, because network is very, very important in cloud engineering role. DevOps, depending, but not so much. But in DevOps, you will need some basic good understanding of operating systems, the Linux and servers, right? But if you want to go to security, then I would recommend to take one of these courses and then take one of the courses in the cloud. Yeah, the question is whether it's better for cloud or network. What is a good? Either or, depending. Let me click on that and see what's there and compare with Cloud Plus. Let's see if I can help answer that more, because I want to see what content they're covering it. Okay, so networking concept, network. Yeah, so again, if you're focusing your career, let's say if you have more passion in systems and operating system deployments and all that, then take Network Plus and Cloud Plus. But if you're more of a programming side and you're exploring that automation and scripting, then start with Cloud Plus, because you will work less on networking. But if you're developing your career on that side of system administration and all that, yeah, networking becomes core. So yeah, take networking first, then Cloud Plus. If you want to go the other five on the scripting and all those stuff, then you really don't need to understand, because developers and all these people I work with, yeah, they focus on that area. So you can always start with Cloud Plus. I hope that answered the question. Now, if you want to go, let me know on the chat. I can cover more CompTIA, or we can go more Microsoft and also Azure. So let's say cloud practitioner is there. I think one of their, so they have a DevOps engineer, and right. Let me see if I have there more. Okay, developer, administrator, solution architect. Anything particular, or any? So you guys are interested more in developer or system administrator? Help me with that. So I'll go. I'll pick one of those. Developer or sysadmin or infrastructure. For developer, type 1, whatever. System administrator, anyone? Sysadmin, perfect. Okay, so let me pick a solution architect. So you want to see yourself, hey, I want to see myself solution architect in 5 years. Okay, fair enough. If you do it 3 years, yeah, why not, right? So what does it take to get there, right? If you're gonna go to Microsoft, so you have these certifications. So what I'm gonna do, let's start with this. So they need to, so yeah, these are very experienced ones. So you always start with fundamentals, okay? And even Microsoft offering these free certification these days. I got an email forwarded yesterday. They got filled in like within hours. There were like 6 or 10 events, and the goal all just to finish in no time. So, but again, it's you have some basic knowledge, the ton of free stuff available. You can learn it, It's all theory, no hands-on. So, and that's the purpose. It's on theory, right? So it gives you the cloud concept, and it's explain you what are different services within Azure and some of the privacy and security. Even some of the directors I know, people they take this example because you need to understand the language with what's being talking about. What's up? Somebody asked me the question for delivery models and all that. Data lake, what is data lake? What data services? What security concepts and all that. So they talk about what they are called when you are going to use in your job for Azure. So 900 must take it. Must take it. I would highly recommend regardless. You must have to have this on your resume, and it just costs $100 something, and very easy to learn. And most of the stuff is theory, and you can even learn it and do practice, and you can sign up for free subscription on Azure for $100 credit. Same thing, you get the free credit here, and they have, I believe this one I'm not able to click. Let me go back. um, Learning path, I believe. Okay, so we can go with someone which is very, I think this one, practitioner, and I should be able to see some. Yeah, but you create the free account, you will get some credit here, and here you see you can literally learn some of the stuff from here. For the basic stuff I'm talking about, when you go to the advanced level, you need to have some hands-on experience with virtual labs. There are a ton of companies available. You can learn with that very cheap, cheap these days. You can have a subscription. But I think what you can do also here, um, I was trying to see where is that. Let me see if I can find it real quick. And if not, then you may do a little research. So I think we have 2-3 minutes. I want to stop here. Any question you may have? What do you think, Kevin? And then, yeah, and if anybody has any question after this, I think let me just share. You can reach out to me, and also, um, uh, if we'll see in the next after the next session, I think I'll share with Kevin. But I do have some mentorship. I may want to recruit a group of 3 to 5 students, but I'll work with Kevin. See, but I need a student with some proper justification why, and those are like more of career counseling kind of thing based on industry. Hey, this is where you want to be. Those kind of stuff. So I'll reach out to Kevin. He will pass on those information, but you must attend my next session, not because I want you to attend it, but the knowledge, and again, it will think of as a mentorship kind of lesson you will learn that will be more specific on security. So over to you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Adnan. I really appreciate you coming out and presenting to this. Um, yeah, everyone, please come to the next session. You're going to get some valuable insight, information, and Adnan is if he's recruiting people, that's very good for you guys. So definitely try to make it if you can. Um, if you have any questions, please, any last minute questions, you can ask them now. Yeah, so here's his information. Feel free to add him and to look into what he does. He does a lot of work, and I'm very impressed with the work he does.
Well,
And yeah,
thank you. Just trying.
of course. Um, so once again, thank you everybody for coming. I hope to see you next time. Next session we will talk about the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. And yeah, thank you all for coming.
Yep, and get ready for cybersecurity stuff. Thanks again. Thank all of you, and thank you, Kevin. Thank you, IEEE.
Take
Yep.
care. Bye.
Bye.